You should see the looks I get when I tell people I moved out of Cary, North Carolina, one of the country's best places to live, after growing up and living there basically my whole life. In this video, I'll reveal the reasons why I decided to leave, and now looking back, whether I regret it or not. I lived in Cary in the 90s through the early 2000s, and even then it was the most popular suburb of Raleigh. It was known to be so safe that even a pickpocket would make the news. And like today, Cary had great schools, parks, neighborhoods, and it was aesthetically beautiful. So when it came time to buy my first house back in 2011, it would make sense to stay in Cary, the place that I grew up and loved so much. But we didn't. We moved to North Raleigh. So why? Well, the obvious answer is location for work, but that wasn't it here. North Raleigh was equally as convenient to both of our work locations as most of Cary were as well. But the reasoning does revolve around three concepts, two of which are still very relevant today. The first reason, which has gotten so much worse in recent years than even when I was there, is the traffic and congestion, especially related to I-40 and RTP. Interstate 40 essentially borders Cary along its eastern side, and you can't get into Raleigh without traveling on it or crossing it, where even the connecting roads can see backups. And I commuted to UNC Chapel Hill for 2 years, so I was really tired of I-40 by the end of that. But I also found myself driving into Raleigh quite a bit for entertainment, as outside of great parks, Cary honestly didn't have much to do. And that leads me into my next reason. It was boring. Growing up, I thought Cary was pretty boring. Development had been fairly stagnant, and the shopping centers were starting to get somewhat run down. There weren't tons of restaurants, and there certainly weren't any late night entertainment options other than the Crossroads movie theater. So I was ready to get closer to places like North Hills, downtown Raleigh, and even to a degree, the Lenovo Center. But of course, right as I move out, the development boom really starts to take off in Cary, where now the amount of restaurants and even some late night entertainment is not really a concern. In fact, Cary is known for its significant number of diverse restaurants, but then I was getting tired of the same old routine. But like the traffic, my last reason is one that has only gotten worse over the years, and that's how expensive Cary housing is. You won't find a higher price per square foot now, and that was the same back then. You simply get less for your money when it comes to buying a home in Cary, as you're sacrificing for location and amenities, but for me, especially back then, I simply could not justify spending that amount of money on a house when I could find the same house 25 to 30% cheaper in North Raleigh. Now, North Raleigh at that point was considered to be on the edge of town, as Wake Forest to the north wasn't even a fraction of what it is today. So you were able to get homes for a good price in that area that weren't built 50 or more years ago. But since I made the decision to leave Cary, there has been significant development both in Cary as well as its surrounding suburbs, where I can't say there's nowhere to eat or nothing to do anymore. Traffic has gotten worse, but my frame of mind on how long it takes to get anywhere in the Triangle has certainly changed from then, such that Cary is in a good location overall. And while Cary was expensive before, it is very expensive now. I am now in Wake Forest, where getting into Raleigh is arguably just as or more painful than Cary, and itself too could be labeled as boring to a degree. So knowing what I do now, do I regret leaving? In some aspects I do, and in others I certainly do not. If I could do it all over again, I would have bought my first home in one of a few key areas of Cary and held on to it. The appreciation rate of Cary, especially through COVID, was one of the highest in the entire Triangle, and that alone would have made the investment worth it. And even today, the opportunities to buy an older, cheaper home and renovate it yield some of the best profits in the area. So yes, I wish I would have bought an older home, fixed it up over time, and held on to it at least through the COVID boom from purely an investment standpoint. So for those who own Cary houses now, and especially those who owned it pre-COVID, think about that value that you might be holding on to. And as much as I love Wake Forest and its parks, they are nothing compared to what Cary offers right now. Have you seen the new downtown Cary Park? But I also said that I don't regret leaving Cary, and even with Cary exploding in development, new restaurants and entertainment, along with their continued investment in new parks, I still don't regret leaving Cary due to my own specific situation and needs. But mostly, the traffic and the overcrowding is a lot, especially as you get closer to RTP. But traveling anywhere around Cary, even during non-rush hour times, can be more frustrating than you feel it should. So does my story surprise you, or is it in line with your thinking? Let me know in the comments. And for more on Cary and the surrounding areas, see our latest videos, including where to live near RTP. Thank you for watching.